Hello, nerds. Nerds for humanity. Oh, wow. Ideas for Yang just jumped right in. What is the scoop? Well, first of all, happy 4th of July to everybody. Really appreciate last few days off. I've been able to get a lot of errands done around the house. Did some power washing, which is extremely therapeutic. What are we going to talk about today? Guess what? I did a Twitter poll, and let me show you what the people wanted. So we're going to take a look at the live poll, which you can see on Twitter. And if you're watching this live, you can vote now. But it looks like people wanted to hear about the Jan 6 reactions and then catching up on what Andrew Yang is up to. Perez, happy 4th to you, sir. Where's everybody joining from for the live stream? I am coming to you from Northern California. It is a beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold. A little bit of a breeze, golden sunshine. Can't complain. Jekkalego, a member. Welcome, welcome. How's it going, man? All right. Well, put in the chat where you're joining us from, and I'll try and give you a shout out. In the meantime, we're going to jump right into those three topics. We're going to do Jan 6 testimony, Andrew Yang latest tweets, and then I'm going to highlight some of the people.us trending candidates, and I'll do that at the end. So if you want to go and approval vote your favorites, go ahead and do that now at ofthepeople.us. And I just went through and cleaned up the candidate list. There were about 2/3 of candidates who unfortunately did not win their primary, but about a third did, and they're going to be on the general election ballot. So it's pretty exciting to see, who's making it to the playoffs. And Jack Lego is joining us from Massachusetts. My youngest son was just doing a little trip to Boston, and he loved it. Think Beyond says Yang plus Ventura for the win. Yeah, I think Yang had Jesse the Body on his podcast recently. All right. Well, I think we've got enough of a quorum. And by the way, don't forget to like and share if you're watching live, so we can increase the reach of this content. And also, if you're watching this on replay, you can still like and share. All right, let's look at the Jan 6 stuff, because as of right now, I'm just going to refresh to make sure that's the #1 voted for thing. Yep. Then we'll do Yang after. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have been watching the Jan 6 hearings. I have. I've watched all 6 days of them. Definitely day 6 was freaking crazy. And you and I are going to watch some of the highlights, and I'll react to them from Cassie Hutchinson's testimony. It's so funny, before we get into it, how Trump immediately posted on his Truth Social account that he has no idea who Cassie Hutchinson is, but he knows that she was a very terrible person, not competent, tried to get a job at Mar-a-Lago after he left the White House, and she's the worst person he's ever seen. So has no idea who she is, but knows a lot about her work history. Oh, we got Royalty 20 is joining us from Alabama, where they play a little football down there, is from what I hear. All right, so let's look at what Cassie said. In case you missed it, we're not obviously going to watch the whole multi-hour thing, but I found a YouTube video with some highlights, so we're going to react to some of the highlights. Okie dokie. Let's see if this sharing El Workos. Yeah, looks like it's working okay. And I'm going to adjust the zoom. Oh, I need to make sure that I'm sharing with audio. So let me just make sure I do that the correct way. Yes. Okay, good.
I remember looking at him and saying, Rudy, could you explain what's happening on the 6th? He had responded something to the effect of, we're going to the Capitol. It's going to be great. The president's going to be there. He's going to look powerful. He's going to be with the members. He's going to be with the senators. Talk to the chief about it. Talk to the chief about it. He knows about it.
Okay, so as a reminder, this is the principal aide to the White House Chief of Staff. So this is Cassie Hutchinson, who works for Mark Meadows, who is the White House Chief of Staff. I think he was Donald Trump's 4th Chief of Staff at that time. I'm not sure how many he had, but he had a lot of them. And they're talking about, this is like late December, early Jan, way after the election's over, about how the president is going to go to the Capitol on the day that the Senate and House meet in a joint session to ratify the electoral votes that are presented by the states. And the irony, of course, is that many MAGA people will claim that they care deeply about states' rights. But I guess in this case, if the state house, the state legislatures want to submit the final results, and I guess the MAGA people don't like them, they're okay if the federal government comes in and says, no, sorry, you got it wrong. You need to go back and count again. So much for, kind of federalism. But let's keep going.
I just had an interesting conversation with Rudy. Mark, sounds like we're going to go to the Capitol. He didn't look up from his phone and said something to the effect of, there's a lot going on, Cass, but I don't know, things might get real, real bad on January 6th. But when we were in the offstage announce tent, I was part of a conversation. I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away. I saw
All right. So this part, and let's acknowledge some of the comments here. Think Beyond is saying she said something to the effect too many times. Well, I don't know. If I were testifying to what Rudy said to me, I don't know if I could give you the exact quote unless I was writing it down. I guess you could argue that, well, maybe Rudy said we're not going to the Capitol and she misremembered. But the other thing that now she's talking about is when the president wanted to increase the size of his crowd in the photo shot in front of the ellipse, and his staff said, well, anyone can come in, but a lot of your supporters really don't want to go through the metal detectors because they're carrying weapons, or the magnetometers, the mags. And the fact that the president said, I don't care, take away the mags, let my people in, and then he says they can go to the Capitol straight from my speech, is a amazing combination of assumptions. Because I guess Trump is saying, I'm okay with armed people being in my crowd, and I'm also okay with them proceeding to the Capitol after I fire them up and tell them to fight like hell, knowing that they're armed with spears, 9mm pistols, ARs. It's just, I mean, how is it that this is even happening? That a president who lost their election, who lost all of their challenges in court because they had no real evidence, still on the day that it's ceremoniously finalized by Congress is saying, yeah, I'd like to send an angry mob of armed people from my area to the White House. And yes, I would like you to remove the magnetometers, because I don't mind that they're armed and dangerous and angry. I mean, let's let's hear that one more time, because it's freaking incredible. Let's see.
I was part of a conversation. I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in.
I don't care that they're armed. Let them in. They can go to the Capitol after. Hello, Elizabeth. We're just talking about Cassie Hutchinson's testimony. Now, Think Beyond is providing an alternate perspective, saying, hey, she's testifying about stuff that she heard. She heard the president saying these things. Yeah, that is what she's testifying to. And I've also heard the other argument, which is, but there's only 2 Republicans on this committee. I mean, as a reminder, the original request was not to have a congressional committee, but like have a official commission that's even like kind of more powerful to look into this. And that was voted down. Then Congress said, okay, we'll have a bipartisan committee. And then I think the leader of the House Democrats, McCarthy, wanted to have like Jim Jordan and someone else, real piece of work. And the Democrats were like, no, these guys are like clearly just going to obstruct, nominate some other Republicans. And that's when the Republicans said, no, we'll take our ball and walk, and we don't want any representation here. So, but that's pretty nutty that this is what happened here. Take away the magnetometers, let my people armed and angry in, and then send them to the Capitol.
Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in. Take the effing mags away. I saw Mr. Cipollone right before I walked out onto West Exec that morning, and Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of, please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. Keep in touch with me. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable if we make that movement happen.
So that's the White House counsel.
The
White House counsel telling the White House chief of staff principal aide, do not let Trump send people to the Capitol. Do not let Trump go to the Capitol. We will be charged with every crime imaginable. This is very different than the official MAGA narrative on Jan 7th, which was like, hey, it was one speech. How could he have known? He had no idea that they were going to go to the Capitol. He had no idea that they were armed or angry. President Trump was just an innocent victim. And these were just tourists that were trying to take pictures next to the statues. I mean, that literally was some of the narrative from Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, if you remember. And then, of course, Newsmax was even worse. But these hearings are amazing because it's not a bunch of never Trumpers. These are lifelong Republicans who have worked for the Republican Party in multiple teams. I think Cassie Hutchinson worked for Ted Cruz and Solis, I think. And then obviously Mark Meadows, and knows Jim Jordan. Like, she's not some bleeding heart liberal. And then you have Attorney General Barr saying all of that election fraud claims from Rudy Giuliani and Trump was quote a load of bullshit, right? This is Attorney General, Trump's handpicked Attorney General, saying that. and testifying to that effect under oath.
The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And I remember Pat saying to him something to the effect of, "The rioters have gotten to the Capitol, Mark. We need to go down."
Okay, so the whole, like, did Trump grab the steering wheel? Did he put it in drive? Did he move towards his own Secret Service agent, or did he try and choke him? Like, people could debate that. The fact of the matter is, this man really did. He really did want to go to the Capitol. And you'll remember what the MAGA people were telling you on Jan 7th, that, oh, when President Trump said, "I will be with you at the Capitol," that was a metaphorical reference. He didn't really mean it literally. He wasn't really going to go to the Capitol. Surely you mainstream never Trumpers are reading into his words. Well, it turns out that in his speech, he said, "I will be there with you." He had been planning to go to the Capitol, as Rudy Giuliani said, days beforehand. And the White House counsel said, "Please do not let this man go to the Capitol." And then the head of White House security says he commanded the Secret Service to take him to the Capitol, and thank God they refused that order. I know the MAGA people love to kind of argue over, like, well, was it a lunge, or was it a push, or was it like a choke, or was it, whatever? Like, that doesn't matter. The reality is, like, this man knew there was an armed group that were pissed off. He told them to fight like hell. He said, "I'm going to go down to the Capitol with you." And then he told his Secret Service to take him there in the Beast. Crazy. Crazy. I am so grateful. Like, this July 4th is not only celebrating our independence from King George, it's also celebrating our independence from King Donald. Can you imagine if this man was able to overturn a presidential election and remain in power? Golly.
"I want to see the president now." And Mark looked up at him and said, "He doesn't want to do anything, Pat." And Pat said something to the effect of, and very clearly had said this to Mark, something to the effect of, "Mark, something needs to be done or people are going to die and the blood's going to be on your effing hands." I remember Pat saying something to the effect of, "Mark, we need to do something more. They're literally calling for the vice president to be effing hung." And Mark had responded something to the...
Now, you guys remember when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, the MAGA people and the Trump supporters were so focused on how many hours, how many minutes occurred between the ambassador asking for more military assistance and defense and action being taken, right? And this is for a U.S. facility in, oh God, Libya. Here we have the United States Capitol building being physically overrun by an angry mob of armed Trump supporters with spears, with body armor, with bear spray, with guns, entering into the Capitol. You've got security being overrun and asking for help. And now you have the White House counsel saying to the chief of staff, the president needs to call off this mob. And the chief of staff saying, look, we've been through this. He doesn't want to do anything. He's very mad at Pence for not overturning the election for him. This is just incredible. Like, if you told me this is what happened, like in Panama by Noriega, I'd be like, yeah, that's how they do it over there. Or if it was like something that Putin did in Russia, or Xi Jinping did in China, I would be like, yeah, they're not America. But this is America, and it just happened 2 years ago. That's freaking incredible. Just truly deplorable leadership.
The effect of, you heard him, Pat, he thinks Mike deserves it, he doesn't think they're doing anything wrong. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall.
Did Rudy Giuliani ever suggest that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
He did.
Ms. Hutchinson, did White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows ever indicate that he was interested in receiving a presidential pardon related to January 6th?
Mr. Meadows did seek that pardon. Yes, ma'am.
Unbelievable. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So that's my reaction to Jan 6, day 6 testimony. Oh my God. And most of my MAGA family have refused to watch any of it. They're like, oh, those are just never Trumpers. They're just disgruntled. I'm like, really? Like 10, 12 people that worked at the most senior levels, they're all just angry about not getting a job at Mar-a-Lago? Like, really? Is Mar-a-Lago that hot of a place to get a job these days? Anyway, okay, we're running short on time. I do want to hit a few things. So let's do a quick react to Andrew Yang's recent tweets. And then I actually have to go to a little July 4th barbecue myself. So let's do this real quick. What is Andrew Yang up to? Let's see here. Okay. I've been following Yang. Whenever I see him, he's definitely always talking about the problem with the two parties. But let's see when we go to his profile. All right. Oh, it'd be interesting to see what his social media following is like. Let's see, social blade. Andrew Yang. Okay. On Twitter, let's see here. Where the hell is the... Yang's star on social media is not quite as bright as it used to be. I will show you some data on the Yang's social reach. So as you can see here, I mean, he was gaining hundreds of thousands of followers per month, when he was running in 19 and 2020, early 2020. And then you see, basically starting in June of 2021, he started losing followers, had a net loss of followers every month, and he's still losing every month. So his actual reach is shrinking. Now that's common. I think, he's not running for office. He's not on CNN anymore. He's not running for mayor. But it is something to note that hopefully Andrew finds his third wind, if you will. But let's see what he's talking about on Twitter while we're here anyway, since that's what I promised to do. Okay. So let's see. He's talking about what's his pin tweet. When he was governor of Minnesota, Ventura concluded the two-party system had to go. He's trying to form a union in wrestling, bringing third-party tribes together. Oh, so he basically posted his interview with Jesse the Body. Jesse might want to get a little haircut, clean it up a little bit. He's probably not working. So check out Yang's interview with Jesse the Body. Yang gave a high school commencement address. You know what? Why don't we watch a little bit of what he's saying with Jesse and or what Jesse's saying on his podcast. See if hopefully you guys can hear this.
So how did you come to this conclusion that these two parties are not actually?
Let me know
trying
in
to
the
work people's
comments or
interests? How
chat
did
if
that
you can
click
hear
for you?
this.
It clicked for me over something very simplistic, Andrew. The fact that they have built an entire political system based upon the concept of bribery. The only way you're going to get an audience with any elected official of a Democrat or Republican persuasion is bring a check. You know, don't bring your problem, bring a check with your problem. And then you'll at least get your audience. See, they've turned our system into a complete system of bribery. And what's weird about that is that if you do that in the private sector, you go to jail. But here in the public sector, it's standard operating procedure. Doesn't make any sense. And why do we want a system based upon money and who pays off the politician? And because of that system, it then becomes a system within them of.
Well, that makes a ton of sense. Basically, Jesse is saying, hey, this system is kind of set up for whoever can raise the most money. Probably, I would imagine he's going to say the two-party system's broken, and we need other options. And then I would imagine Yang would say, yes, I agree. That's what we're trying to do with the Forward Party. So very cool. Congrats to Andrew for landing. What a cool interview. Then we have Andrew giving a commencement address, promoting a book from Jason Kander. Retweeting something from the Forward Party, declaring independence from a two-party system. So basically, that's what Yang's been up to. I will give friendly criticism to Andrew and the Forward Party, which is, I think we need to see more action. And what I would love to see is for them to get behind candidates who are challenging incumbents, who are pro ranked choice voting and open primaries, and helping those candidates win. And that might be a good segue to me. Mike Sondorf says that the two of them might be teaming up. So maybe Jesse will be joining the Forward Party. That would be cool. But it would be good to see that Forward Party get some results. I know that's hard, but pick any freaking close race and get behind one and see if you can help that candidate win. Which is a good segue to some of the top trending of the people.us candidates, which is an open platform. Focus. Which is an open platform and nonpartisan. It's powered by approval voting, and it helps you find out interesting candidates who are up and coming. And I just did a little cleanup of it and removed all the folks who didn't win their primaries. But the good news is about a quarter of the people who are on OTP are making it to their general election. And, I will highlight some of them. And maybe the Forward Party can get behind some of those so that we can get some wins. Let's get a few Congress people who are pro UBI, open primaries, ranked choice voting, who can look back and say, yeah, I appreciate the Forward Party's help. They helped me get here, and I'm going to be committed to, advocating for some of those key principles. Before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to the people who make this channel and of the people possible. And then we'll go into highlighting some of those interesting candidates who are up and coming. Let's see. Who makes Nerds for Humanity, the channel you're watching, possible? Well, some of them are our members. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just click the join button. And you too can help us create more content, cover our podcasting hosting fees, our video editing kind of software fees, that kind of thing. Our biggest supporter is Soldier One, who is our senior vice president. Thank you, Soldier One. Next are our vice presidents, Kristen Slevin, Bike, and Stephen Jones. Thank you, guys. Then we've got our hardcore, Gene, David, DK, Jekkalego, who's in the chat, I believe, Kirsch, Mr. History, Mona, Susan, Vaughn, Yang, Robert, Dean, Statner, Galessa, Jay Perrin, AH, Jay Bryan, Dana, Jason, Parth, and Daniel. Also, thank you to StreamYard for sponsoring our streaming fees. Lisa, at our verified nerd level, entry level, which you can become one right now for $1.99 a month, so it's nothing. Lisa, Albert, Brandon, Erez, your mom and Sophia, Mike, Doris, Emerald, Ben, Rasta, James, Emma, Elizabeth, Hui, Ira, Shoni, Jameson, Doctor, William, Karen, Ardent, Semery, Mai, Brittany, Juana, Warren, Lucky, Kevin, Nell, to be, and Walter. And our newest nerds, total time as member, are Walter, Tex, Toby, and Daniel. And our oldest nerds, our OGs, are Lisa, Jean, Kristen, Albert, and Brandon. So thank you for making the Nerds for Humanity channel kind of allows us to remain producing content, even though it's not as cool anymore to produce political commentary content. Now I'm going to quick shout out the people who support ofthepeople.us, our Patreon supporters. They are in order of support: Eric Sanchez, Tohir T, Elizabeth O, Tony P, Rock Out, Iggy, Aaron S, John P, Rob, Timothy J, Jessica G, Trickle Up, Muhan Z, Travis C, Austin B, My Z, and Dylan J H. So thank you for supporting us. And if you want to support ofthepeople.us, you can just click on the Patreon link on ofthepeople.us. And while we're here, let's talk about who is trending on ofthepeople.us. And if you haven't, you can vote for any of those candidates, as many as you like, using approval voting. So let's go to ofthepeople.us now and look at who is getting the most approval votes most recently. By the way, you can also filter by tag, like if you want to just look at people who support UBI, or if you want to look at people who support UBI and Green New Deal, that kind of thing. You can also sort by your zip code to see who's closest to you. But right now, the top 5 candidates based on recent trending approval voting on OTP are Rishi Kumar. Now, Rishi is a good example. Full disclosure, I am in his district, California 16, and I have actually reached out to Andrew Yang and said, man, this guy, Rishi, has a chance of defeating a incumbent, Anna Eshoo, who has been in office since like the 1990s in Congress. And she got less than 50% of the vote in the primary, and now it's going to the top 2. And Rishi's a really good guy, man. He's pro Green New Deal, Medicare for all, big on innovation. He's not a career politician. He comes from industry, and he's really interested in getting Andrew Yang support. So check out Rishi Kumar. Then you got Jermaine Johnson, who is no stranger to this show. So congrats, Jermaine, on being the number 2 trending candidate on OTP. John Fetterman, who's getting a lot of attention in Pennsylvania. I was super excited to see John Fetterman's team list him on OTP like a year ago before it was cool, before to support John Fetterman. And, you know, I think the fact that he's trending on OTP is a good reflection of where he's going. They've got Al Fox and Yulai Niao. Nyo is probably pronunciation, running for New York State Senate, and Al's running for U.S. Senate in Florida. So those are some of the trending candidates. Go check them on out on ofthepeople.us. And approvals, if you want to approval vote anyone, if you're like, hey, man, I think Jermaine Johnson should be number one, you can just click on Jermaine's image, and it'll go to his profile page, which then has links to his website, his Twitter, a little bit of a bio, should have recent video, and then his recent tweets. So these OTP candidate pages are kind of useful. But then the other thing you can do is click on this blue approve button, and that will basically boost him up in our ranking. Although right now he's number 2, so he's pretty strong. You know, someone who might need your approval voting is David Kim over here. So he's dropped down in the rankings a little bit. So go ahead and give him an approval vote if you like David Kim. I know he's been on the show a few times. So check out ofthepeople.us. And I think in summary, here's what I would say on the Jan 6 stuff. The fact that, oh, by the way, Donald Trump, rumor has it that he's planning to announce this month his official candidacy for president of the United States of America in 2024. So he's not going away. So a lot of people say like, oh, Tom, why are you always talking about Donald Trump? Well, he's gotten an 80% approval rating in the Republican Party. He's the number one most likely to be nominated as the Republican Party's presidential nominee. And, oh, by the way, he tried to overturn a legitimate election and convinced half of the country that it was stolen, and convinced thousands of people to try and ransack the Capitol. Other than that, he's a great guy. So, at any rate, it's just freaking craziness. So, yeah, so that's Jan 6. Like, dude is a very bad man. I think I've gone from Orange Man bad to Orange Man knowingly tried to commit fraud on his own supporters, raised $250 million on a lie, then tried to foment an armed mob to attack the Capitol during a joint session of Congress to put himself in power. So, yeah, he's pretty bad. And then in terms of Yang, yeah, maybe the Yang, Jesse, the Body Ventura combo could be really exciting. Again, and I've said this to forward party people, both on this show and privately, is like, guys, you gotta, you know, you started the party, like, let's get some points on the board, like, not, endorse some more candidates and help the people you endorse win. Because ultimately, that's what we got to do. It can't only be criticizing the existing parties. You gotta deliver. So, I'm rooting for the forward party, and would love to. And if they decide to get behind Rishi Kumar, I would definitely volunteer more time in that joint effort. But I'm probably going to volunteer for Rishi regardless. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say happy Independence Day, nerds. Hopefully everybody stays safe. Have some good food, enjoy time with friends and family. Be careful with the fireworks. Don't start any forest fires, and be mindful of your hands and eyes around exploding projectiles. And thank goodness that we have independence from kings who tried to exert too much power illegitimately, whether those kings were foreign or domestic. So with that, we will say goodbye, nerds.